Hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this brief discussion on how to save some serious time and money on your mortgage by understanding the amortization schedule. Now, the great thing about this principle is that it's very simple, it's very intuitive, and it can be applied to other debts like your car loan or your student loan debt. The goal here is to get us out of debt as soon as possible so that we can limit the damage to our finances. Now, I was inspired to do this because of our own struggles with debt. When my wife and I got out of school, we had student loan debt, we had a car loan, and it really just felt like we were never going to get out from under this debt cloud. But I realized pretty early on that by paying off the debt early, you could make a huge difference in the amount of time, not only the amount of time that you had to pay, but the amount of interest that you pay, the amount of interest that you lose on these types of loans. So we paid off my wife's student loans 7 years early, and we saved about $7,000 worth of interest by doing that. We paid off my student loans about 6 years early and saved about $15,000 worth of student loan interest, because I was in graduate school, so I had much higher loans than she did. Now, 2 years ago, she and I bought a house, 30-year mortgage, and with the early payments that we've already made, we have managed to slash 11 years and $48,000 worth of interest off the life of the loan. So I really want to help others achieve that type of savings by showing them some solid numbers about how to do that and how little it takes to achieve really positive results for your overall finances and for the long-term health of your finances. So often my friends have said, you can't pay off a home loan in 1 or 2 years, or even 3 or 4 years. So why stress it? Just sit back and enjoy the ride. And it's true, for most people it's not possible to pay off a mortgage in such a short amount of time. But for me, the alternative of 30 years of debt and tens of thousands of dollars of lost income through interest, this is money that you work really hard for, that you've worked long hours to get, and you're just going to lose it through interest. That just doesn't seem very appealing to me. So, if you understand how interest is applied on the amortization schedule, you can see how it's really front-loaded on these loans, and that if you attack the mortgage, if you attack your loans early, you can see some really significant savings. So, I just want to run a couple of numbers, looking at some scenarios, to see just how much you're able to save by paying down your debts early. So let's take just as an example. Let's say that you bought a home for $200,000 at a 5% interest rate. Over the life of that loan, you are going to lose over $186,000 worth of interest. Now, you could buy an entire other house with what you're just paying in interest. And when you look online, when you look at mortgage calculators or amortization calculators online, most of them don't show you how this number can change when you apply overpayments. Now, there is a really great calculator at bankrate.com that does exactly that. It allows you to plug in different numbers that, I'm going to overpay this much every month. I'm going to overpay this much every year. I'm going to make one overpayment over the life of the loan. And it lets you see the difference in the payoff date and the difference in the total interest that you pay. So, you have this number here. You have a $200,000 loan that will cost you $186,511 over the course of 30 years. But what if you decided that you just wanted to put $1,000, just $1,000 a year on this loan, and you did it at the end of the year? So let's say that you got this loan in July, and so next June, at the end of that 12-month cycle, you are going to put an extra $1,000 on it. So for this one, according to this calculator, we have the first loan payment in December, so the payoff date is going to be November 2045. November 2045, just by putting $1,000 extra every year on it. It doesn't seem like much, right? $1,000 against such a large loan seems like it would be totally ineffective, doesn't it? But when you actually look at the numbers, the payoff date goes from November 2045 to July 2041. So you save over 4 years, and interest goes down to $155,000. So a total savings of $30,867 just by paying $1,000 extra every year. That's quite a bit. Now let's say that you got pretty serious about it. Let's say you got a little more aggressive with it, and you decided, you know what, I can make $3,000 a year to put on this loan at the end of the year. So at the end of that 12-month cycle, you put $3,000 a year on it, and you can see the difference here. Your payoff date goes from November 2045 to December 2035. You've saved 10 years on this mortgage, and when you look at the interest, the amount of interest has plummeted, and you've saved $68,034 by making these overpayments. You can buy a lot with that $68,000. You can have 2 or 3 really nice cars for that amount of money. So I think it's much better to have that money in your pocket, have those 10 years back, rather than giving it to the bank. So, one final thought. You can save even more money by paying a little bit every month instead of saving up for one lump sum payment at the end of the year. So, depending on how much you're paying every month, obviously you're going to save more the more you overpay every month, but just for sake of convenience, let's take a look at our last example and say that instead of paying $3,000 at the end of the year, you decide to pay $250 a month, equaling $3,000 a year. So you see here, that's going to save you an extra $2,000 over the life of the loan, and will take an additional 2 months off the mortgage. So what you see here is if you overpay every month, and the more you can overpay early, the bigger difference that it will make. So I hope this little demonstration has helped inspire you that you can get out of debt faster. You can save tons of money with just a little bit of work. You can save tons of time. And I hope that you can use these amortization tables, the schedule, to your advantage. And I hope that you'll tune in for other videos on finances a little bit later on. So thank you all very much for listening and for sticking with me, and I hope to be here next time.